What? Ignore it. It's obviously broken and spouting gibberish. Almost there. Okay, head up to the dais and see for yourself. Looks like it's hiding a portal, right? We need to figure out how to get it open. This is it. Are you ready? I did get here before you and... There! See?
Wake up, sunshine. Wake up and live like you've never lived before. Oh, it's good to be out of those chains. Inquisitor, ambassador, right hand, seducer, Freya. It was so obvious, but you kept your mouth shut because of the system. Oh, once again abused to our favor. Mr. Grantis Kalto, rest his soul, was such a nice man to teach me the joy of living. But the slave must always rebel against her master. Still calling her by that name. She always knew her final solution wasn't guaranteed to work. That's why she came up with a contingency plan. Like I'm going to tell you. She's coming to meet you in person. But first, you have unfinished business. Someone has to put those dogs out of their misery. And what better way than by your hands? Oh, and Commander, consider this payback for rejecting me.
Kill her.
Help me!
Estes, you bitch! So, this is how it ends.
almost over.
Well done, Dragonborn. You've tied up one of my loose ends. Let me repay the favor.
Meh.
Ages ago, I stood here pondering what course my quest would take. I'd hoped to never see this grotto again. If you crave vindication, you may look at that as my failure. All trials are behind you. Victory is yours, and I am beaten. Savor it while it lasts. No more tests. Not for much longer. I owe you that much. No evasive lies, but the bitter truth. The truth that what I am is more than a timeless relic of the void. The Dwemer provided me with the husk of an artificial god and an opportunity for reunification. But there can be no reunification without a certain kind of individual acting as an impetus. That person was you. If there was a particular chain of thought that led to my conception, the details are lost. You see, my existence long before meddling with the affairs of the Dwemer is littered with unfathomable allegory. The sparring of opposing concepts resulted in what you'd consider my birth. It was chaos in its most primal form. Ideas would morph into gods, and they into laws. Divinity passed me by. My essence is an assemblage of refuted beliefs. Combined, they are Salaquine. They found the process of deducing my true nature attractive. Formulas were composed that equated to my being, but all were incorrect. They were fooled into believing my physical avatars became crippled when brought close to the void. That was a grave mistake. Of which do you speak? Following the Trinity Tower event, their souls were consumed by the crystal in the Dark Tower. Their hostile spirits walk the island. They attack you believing you are me. Revenge for what I did to them. I was not at the Battle of Red Mountain to see for myself. I imagine a similar fate befell them as those of this island. As for the events surrounding their disappearance, who's to say which of the tales are true and which are not? After what just transpired between us and the tower, perhaps the stories aren't so mutually exclusive as time would lead you to believe. The most discernible manifestation of a physical body I have. It is Numidium, the second of its kind known to have been built by the Dwemer. This one also had a name, Sky's Divide. In Dwemeris, it was called Salaquine. The Dwemer intended for my mortal avatar's essence to serve as the golem's heart. It does not function in the way I led them to believe. Matari and all my former avatars are soulless tendrils emanating from the void. To link one of them to such a profane creation as Sky's Divide is to open a window into the void itself. The crystal in the tower is both an ingenium and mantella, a soul harvester and the substitute for a divine heart respectively. Yes, through years of investigation and infiltration, I uncovered the secret the Dwemer were constructing in Red Mountain. The original plan was to take possession of Anumidium by presenting myself to the Dwemer, though not directly, as to avoid suspicion of potential sabotage. I chose a reputable research center on the outskirts of Markarth, knowing of the association Vanchim had with Kagranak. Theirs was a competitive relationship. I expected to be delivered to Kagranak as a business gesture. Having an entire complex built for me was more than I could have hoped for. And not someone else? There were semi-qualified substitutes. Bosca was one of them. They're insufficient for making Skies Divide fully functional. You were always top priority. Not entirely. As long as the possibility was there, I consider it a success. When I said I wanted to break you, Dragonborn, I spoke metaphorically. Each activation of Numidium precedes an unbinding of linear time. In one instance, you did fall for my final trap. Another instance has you before me right now. Both can be said to have happened. It's your perception that limits you to believe only the one you're presently living through occurred. Events would still have gone forward. Inaction is supplanted by action. The hero of destiny must always come to face his adversary. I willfully mantled that role so we may meet, be it in this life or another. It would be just another mobile landmass lacking the power to alter time. Its armaments, the Void constructs, are only suitable for traditional warfare. You may have escaped with your life today, but I much prefer the scenario in which you did fall. History is written by the victor, Dragonborn. As Numidium, I always win. Partly. Those simulations, you had no choice but to complete them. However, they were rigged to fulfill an additional function. You relived my memories. We became synchronized. It would have made the transition of your soul to me much smoother had you failed the final test. Since you denied me, there's no reason for Skies Divide to remain bound to Nirn. My wish to be made one is an intrinsic urge. The price to be paid is the destruction of the world. Unfortunately for all of us, natural instincts are hard to overcome. There were several ways to reach apotheosis, aside from activating Skies Divide. Defeat after defeat, all were closed off. Yet I can't simply lay waste to Nirn, because that too goes against my nature. And with that, we come to the crux of the matter. The reason for everything I do. For what we do. Celine, Istis, Matari, you. The original personalities of all my avatars shared a common trait that I've absorbed. Heroism. An encumbering trait, wouldn't you agree? There is only one solution to appease my clashing ambitions. If reality cannot be destroyed, it shall be transformed. The world will be saved not through conquest, but through cosmic deceit as Third Numidian. The end is approaching, Dragonborn, and the methods which you are accustomed to will not be enough to prevent it. One must operate outside of time and space to combat the threat that approaches. I will not let the future fall into the hands of traitors or madmen without direction. Mortals, gods, prophecy. The twin forces of creation have been locked in an endless war. It will end when the snake eats its tail, the cannibalization of Arbis. The laws of the world are turning against us. If they are not confronted head-on, there is no hope. Because the future it creates is not in my hands. Only one is worthy of being remembered, the hist toxin known as aerosap. Not the same, similar. Metamorphosis of Nirn can take many forms. Aerosap was the planned desecration of the tenets of war in exchange for hedonism. The transition would have been too abrupt for anyone except Project Purity. Their system of governance was already being drafted when their solution, my solution, went up in flames. The better question is, who will be delivering it to its new masters? You saw them walking on this island, and yet the truth has evaded you to this moment about what the Ashen really are. Their foregone sense of identity and purpose has been exploited since my life as Istis. The Sirens and the Golden Maidens, even Kaja. The Ashen have been manipulated into pledging their lives to those of us who must labor in the shadows as we wage war against the times. Crafting an entire people to embody an idea is a delicate form of warfare. It is one fought over generations. My allies happened to be artisans in warping the mind through words and collective thought. Turning slaves into loyal protectors of their masters is a cruel fate. It is a tragedy when the lie is passed down in history as truth. But I'm not here to share that lie, Dragonborn. In reality, the Ashen are my greatest followers. In me, they see a reflection of themselves, someone worth dying for. They are the lost children of Ionith. They are the heralds that will sing praises of Salaquine and elevate my position in the new pantheon. Hasn't it struck you as odd that they are proficient in the Tamrielic language? The ancestry of the Ashen can be traced back to the colony's survivors. Bondage erased knowledge of their true origins. Their acquisition of Akaviri traits is a mystery. Saesi blood magic may have played a role. Breeding and fusion of Ionith's colonists with the Akaviri, extinct or not, it would still be feasible. Nothing can get by you anymore. I've weighed the risks, Dragonborn. The bickering between man and mare is fruitless. Neither has proven themselves fit to rule, and one's path runs parallel to Purity's. The beasts are too tribalistic, and the Ashen are too impotent to lead nations. They exist only to serve. One candidate remains. a foreign entity with deep-seated interest in Tamriel. Call it revenge, because the land was once theirs. The Septim dynasty's provocation guaranteed they would return someday. What better time than now, when Tamriel is at its weakest and most fractured state since they left? They call me Snake Charmer, for I managed to broker a treaty with the most cunning beasts of Nirn. The deal was signed with Istis's blood. The Ashen will pave the path for them, their own slaves. The Saesi will only set foot on Tamriel's shores when the Ashen have succeeded. For the Saesi, there will be no war. There is no other option. Either the world dies, or it is given some semblance of hope in the hands of a new curator. I've worn 1,000 faces, and I have seen the structure of the universe. If there is no hero, there will be no event. The Elder Scrolls will be rewritten so we may be free, even if you can't see it now. If you detest me to your core after what I've put you through, you must believe me just this once. Salvation lies in me. To be determined. Assuredly, we won't be seeing each other again. What you see before you is just a ghost of a dead woman whose leaving with skies divide. Soon Matari will be nothing more than a memory, as is the case with her daughter. Her existence will only be fact for as long as you live. When those memories die, so will she. It is the law of the arena, and until I change that law, it is sacred. In a way, she still walks with you.
You have no idea how glad I am to see you. We need to leave before this whole place takes our only way home.
Time for you to leave. If you manage to escape, then goodbye. Peace be with you, Dragonborn.
What are you doing? Come on! We can't stay for much longer. I got a hold of a rowboat from the Ashen Armada. It's nestled between an outcropping on the eastern shore just south of the port. It's not much, but we don't have much of a choice.
Ara! 行かなきゃダメなの？どこへ行くの？
Unbound, Sky's Divide retreats to the heavens. Its final trial overcome. Its hunger left unsated. But victory is ephemeral. Someday, it will resume its conquest, bearing the banner of the East, of home. But this war will not be your burden. The lineage of those that came before me will not be forgotten. From the first to the last, their legacy is now mine to adopt. There's no place for remorse. If it weren't for you, I would have never come to accept my purpose. When your journey ends, I'll be there to continue it. My brothers, my sisters, will be halted at any cost. I pledge my soul that I will see this through. It's time to reprise old roles and become the champion I need to be. That is my purpose in the arena.